This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. I really wish the media would grow a backbone and do the right thing and report honestly. It's so obvious that there is a particular narrative that the UK government is pushing pertaining to these riots because they don't want to address the actual problem. So King Charles has broken his silence over these riots, and he has given a statement to one of their spokesperson from Buckingham Palace to give to the media. In all these articles, they're positioning the narrative of these riots being far right and those that are protesting are racist, which is not the case. And this is what's upsetting with what is going on, because King Charles legitimately had a moment to where he didn't need to be politically correct. He needed to be understanding. The Daily Mail, number one in participating in this gaslighting, headline, UK riots, King Charles tells Prime Minister Keir Starmer he is encouraged by the way Britain's compassionate community spirit has countered the aggression and criminality from racist thugs who rampaged after Southport stabbings. Well, I don't trust any of these articles because it's all propaganda, but I do want to take a look at the actual quote that came from Buckingham Palace, because that's the only thing that is consistent here. Let's take a look at this together to understand why I found this so disappointing. So from Buckingham Palace, a spokesperson said, in addition to the private calls His Majesty has been making throughout the week concerning recent events, and in particular the impact they have had on affected communities, this evening the King held a phone audience with the Prime Minister and additionally had a joint call with the chair of the National Police Chiefs Council, NPCC, Chief Constable Gavin Stevens, and UK Commander Ben Harrington, Chief Constable of Essex. In these calls, His Majesty was updated on the current situation and expressed his heartfelt thanks to the police and emergency services for all they are doing to restore peace in those areas that have been affected by violent disorder. The Buckingham Palace spokesperson continued, additionally, the King shared how he had been greatly encouraged by the many examples of community spirit that had countered the aggression and criminality from a few with the compassion and resilience of many. It remains His Majesty's hope that the shared values of mutual respect and understanding will continue to strengthen and unite the nation. Now, after reading this, do any of you feel comforted by these words? I know he has to remain neutral, but being politically correct over being understanding is completely different. And in this case, Charles chose to be politically correct. In my opinion, I think he should have just not say anything at all. He already made a statement about the stabbing of those 3 children, and I think he should have left it at there. My question is, what's the point of him being on all these calls and staying so close to the Prime Minister if he is to remain politically neutral? You follow me? We would be stupid to think if the Prime Minister, as well as the police, didn't look to King Charles for some type of guidance or advice because he is the king. What bothers me here is that being that Charles was a part of these update calls with not only the Prime Minister, but also the police, he knew the actions that they were taking against the British citizens, such as arresting people for posting things online that the UK government decided was hatred or inciting violence, otherwise known as challenging the narrative. It bothers me that King Charles celebrated the actions that they took. This is the problem I have here. So what a joke this is when he says he's greatly encouraged by the many examples of community spirit that countered the aggression. So you mean to tell me this is community spirit? This is the effort that the police are giving to restore peace? Who wants their car bashed in by these left-wing radicals? Because that's what they are. Forget about the right extremists that they keep focusing on, because where are they? Where are they in this picture? It remains His Majesty's hope that shared values of mutual respect and understanding will continue to strengthen and unite the nation. Charles, hope is not a strategy. What shared values does this say to the community? Charles, let me give you a quick lesson. This is what is thuggery, not the people who were angry and raising their voices at the government and trying to get you guys to listen as to why they are so angry. Rather than actually acknowledge what the problem is in order to fix it, throwing out word salad doesn't do anything for anyone. Charles, you could have sat this one out, in my opinion. The most annoying thing about this statement, in my opinion, is that it was a whole lot of nothing. What did it really accomplish? It didn't make people feel more secure. It did not bring comfort to them. The situation is getting worse. And at the same time, you mean to tell me that you are politically neutral, but behind the scenes, you're having conversations with someone who is very much aligned with this Agenda 2030 and what is happening to Western world and collapsing it? This is why I am angry and disappointed with this statement, because it just shows that, no, it doesn't matter what the people think, because you don't want to listen to what the people have to say. So much to a point that a lot of resources now being taken away from the real serious crimes to now go arrest people for making social media posts and putting them in jail. Just like this most recent case where one disgruntled UK citizen was angry over the privileges and benefits that immigrants were getting. And just for expressing his frustration and anger, the courts decided to give him a 20-month sentence. And in the sentencing, which you'll see in a second, the most chilling part about this is the justice telling this guy during sentence that this is what you meant in what you posted, essentially backing into the charges that they came up with to lock this guy up, saying, no, you weren't just angry. You were inciting hatred and wanted something to happen. Like, to me, this is the craziest thing that I've seen.
You have been committed for sentence, having pleaded guilty to an offence of publishing written material which is threatening, abusive or insulting, intending thereby to stir up racial hatred. On the night of the 2nd and 3rd of August, the Britannia Hotel in Leeds was attacked by people who threw missiles which damaged windows. The police were called, and on the 3rd of August the hotel was locked down for the protection of those who were living there. At the time there were 210 occupants, many of whom were foreign refugees and asylum seekers. Similar attacks to the hotel were launched on the 4th of August. The police attended on each occasion, and units were deployed to safeguard the hotel and to provide an increase in the police presence in the area. In between the two attacks, you took to social media in order to encourage others towards participation in the attacks upon the hotel. The initial post received 6 likes. However, it was sent to your 1,500 Facebook friends, and because of your lack of privacy settings, will have been forwarded to friends of your friends. The messages were therefore spread widely, which was plainly your intention. In response to a post questioning why, you wrote, "Because they're over here, given life of Riley, off the tax us hard-working people earn, when it could be put to better use. Come over here, with no work visa, no trade to their name, and sit down and doss, and then there's more people being put out homeless each year. They get top band priority on housing and many more reasons." You were arrested in the early hours of the 5th of August and then interviewed by the police. Your motivation became clear when you informed the police that you had promoted the idea of attacking the Britannia Hotel as a result of anger and frustration at immigration problems in the country. You went on to say that you did not want your money going to immigrants who, quote, rape our kids and get priority, end quote. This offence is so serious that an immediate custodial sentence is unavoidable. Would you stand, please? The sentence that I pass has been reduced by 1/3 to reflect your guilty plea. The sentence is one of 20 months imprisonment. You will serve up to 1/2 of your sentence in custody before you are released on licence. If you fail to abide by the conditions of your licence, you can be returned to prison to serve some or all of the remainder of the custodial term. The victim surcharge will apply, and I will make a collection order.
I hate to say it, but UK, you don't have freedom of speech. You would like to have freedom of speech, but that doesn't exist, especially when they're doing this. This is why I talk so much about the First Amendment here in the United States and why it is so important to make sure that we protect it at all costs, because you're witnessing what's going on right now. Everything that's happening in the UK is happening in the US. We're just a little bit delayed because we had the grace of Donald Trump for 4 years. I still stand firm in my belief that Charles did know what Harry and Meghan were coming over here to do in 2020 with the Biden campaign. I also believe that Charles knows about the involvement that Harry has had with trying to undermine our First Amendment. I don't buy into Charles has no power. He has power. It's called soft power. The royal family is supposed to bring the people together, and you would expect that your king would understand what its people are going through and the suffering that's happening. I don't see that. Let me throw up a couple statistics here to help in case someone from the palace sees it to understand that people are angry and why they're angry. Let's start with the cost of living crisis in the UK. So, due to this climate change scam and the global energy prices spiraling, the energy price cap in the UK has increased substantially, which the cap limits what suppliers can charge consumers. And here we have soaring food costs from inflation, high energy bills. UK households really can't afford to sustain living off the wages that they have. As you can see, the negative in black, UK households can't even have disposable income to just enjoy life. They're too busy worried about trying to survive. So the anger is justified, especially when they're seeing illegal immigrants coming to their country and the government using their taxpayer money to give them free room and board as well as benefits, some things that even they don't have themselves. It is frustrating. Then, on top of it, disrespecting the community and, in some cases, committing heinous crimes and nothing happening to them. So, not only UK citizens are struggling to make ends meet, they then now also have to worry about going outside and being on the street because the communities have now become unsafe, particularly for children. Take, for example, this statistic. As of last year, the number of cruelty to children, young person offenses have skyrocketed to 32,961 cases that have been recorded by the police. Now, that's what they know of. Think about what they don't know of. Now let's talk about the rape offenses. As you can see, it has dramatically skyrocketed. And when you look at this graph, on average, up until 2012, they were averaging around 16,000 offenses. Fast forward now into 2024, and 67,928 so far that they have counted in rapes. Similar patterns seen in Scotland and Northern Ireland, where the increase in number of rape and attempted rape offenses in Scotland reached from 2,459 from 924 back in 2002. But this next graph is alarming. The police recorded sexual offenses are off the rails, starting with So in 2022-23, sexual assault on a female aged 13 and over, 53,915. Rape of a female aged 16 or over, 45,966. Sexual activity involving a child under 16, 13,000. Exposure and voyeurism, 12,900. Sexual assault on a female child under 13, 11,636. Sexual activity involving a child under 13, 9,854. Rape of a female child under 16, 9,412. Sexual assault on a male age 13 and over, almost 10,000. Sexual grooming, 6,800. Rape of a female child under 13, 5,420. Sexual assault on a male child under 13, almost 4,000. This is why, King Charles, people are angry. And I don't understand why this is something that we can't talk about. I'm sure that this video is going to get restricted because I mention a couple of these buzzwords, but this is hard statistics. This is what's happening in the UK, and they don't want people talking about it. The fact that women do not feel safe as well as scared for their children is justified. So come on, Queen Camilla, where are you on this matter? Yeah, if they really want to show that they are for the people, then someone needs to stand up, especially for the children. The statistics don't lie. As you can see, the number of recorded possession of weapon offenses have also skyrocketed to, in 2023-2024, which is not over yet, is approximately 58,130 possessions of weapon offenses, meaning a knife. And those committing the offenses are not the ones who are from the far right. As much as the newspapers want you to believe that, they're not. So not only are the people of the UK struggling to keep a roof over their heads, they also feel unsafe in their communities. And on top of that, a lot of them have to use food banks now because they can't afford food. Explain to me how, in one of the most developed countries in the world, 3.1 million people need to use a food bank because they can't afford food. In addition to that, around 11 million people in the UK are living in relative poverty. Compound that with the millions coming in, undocumented, being given free room and board, and being expected to take more food out of your mouth, food that you don't have, in order to give to people who haven't contributed to the community. I'm sorry, King Charles, but you and your world economic friends are all responsible for this suffering that we're seeing going on right now at the same time. Hey, Charles, in the spirit of community, why not open up Buckingham Palace and allow some of these migrants to go stay with you? I'm sure you'd be able to find some shared values and mutual respect together. And no offense to the diehard royalists, I hope you can understand why this really ticked me off. What the UK government is doing to its people is just flat out wrong. And instead of admitting that they made mistakes and course corrected to help the people, they're choosing to double down because they have an agenda. And this is why we get this word salad from King Charles that does absolutely nothing. Because guess what, folks? They have no intention to do anything to fix this because it is all by design. You know, it does make me sad to say this, but the institution died when the Queen passed away. What we're seeing now is nothing that I recognize, where God is not being put first, as well as family values and stability. Where's the stability here, Charles? In any case, I'm going to leave you with Nana from GB News to share this final sentiment that I certainly feel and I think is a spot-on assessment.
Sadiq Khan said he no longer feels safe in London as an openly Muslim politician. Well, welcome to the club. I don't feel safe in London as an openly woman. I haven't done in particular in the last 5 years. Sadiq said that he had felt triggered by the events of the last week and was heartbroken that his children's generation had felt scared. It's not just your children's generation, it's all of us. What I can't work out is how he has the gall to say that with a straight face. After all, he's been in charge as Mayor of London since May 2016. And part of this has to be related to how he's gone about running the city. He can't absolve himself of all responsibility for the state of it. Under Sadiq's guidance, London has seen record knife crime, an epidemic in burglary and skyrocketing attacks on women and girls. Try being a woman, a black young male, or anyone who lives in any form of accommodation in our great capital. So that's pretty much everyone. We're all afraid, Sadiq. He says he feels unsafe because he's a Muslim. Really? Well, what about how the Jewish people feel? They have had to put up with 10 months' worth of pro-Palestine protests every weekend, which many have called peaceful. I would argue chanting from the river to the sea and free Palestine and chanting Allahu Akbar in an aggressive manner whilst waving the Palestinian flag can be very intimidating, in particular to Jewish people who have had to hide their identity for fear of attack, many leaving London on the weekends to avoid being embroiled in the protest. There's plenty of evidence to show that in the interests of Jewish people's security, it was best for them to stay away from the capital. What did he do about that? He didn't appear bothered. These protests have been going on for almost a year, but yet it seems only now it's affecting him he's noticed. Yet he's had private protection and he's got a security cavalcade. None of us have any of that. So whilst no one wishes ill of him and it's not nice to be scared, welcome to the club, Sadiq. The question is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about the safety of all Londoners? You seem more concerned putting up cameras that will catch people in the ULEZ zone, the ones that will catch perpetrators of real crime. Now you've woken up to the dangers that even you are now facing in our great capital, the city that you are in charge of. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about keeping us all safe?
I was such a fraud.